If you are not currently hyperventilating about the end of episode 4, are you even watching the same show as me? I just finished volume 1 of season 5, and we have to talk about the Sorcerer. We have to talk about that insane cliffhanger. And we definitely need to talk about why Will's nose is bleeding like Henry Creel's. Why can't Henry enter the cave? I have listed every single unanswered question keeping me up at night until Christmas. So let's get into it. Starting with the elephant in the room, or rather, the sorcerer in the woods. Will Byers. We have spent 4 seasons watching this poor kid get kidnapped, possessed, ignored, and stuck in the background touching his neck while saying he has a bad feeling. It has been rough being a Will fan, honestly. But episode 4, titled Sorcerer, just completely flipped the script in the most insane way possible. That ending scene where Vecna just dips out back to the Upside Down and leaves his Demogorgons to finish the job was terrifying. But what Will did next was legendary. He controlled them. He stopped them in midair. He twisted them. He crushed them. And then he got the nosebleed, the classic sign of psychic exertion that we usually only see with Eleven or Henry. So, the biggest unanswered question right now is simply, what is Will Byers becoming? We know Vecna said that Will was the first, that Will showed him what was possible, and he called the kids vessels. Is Will turning into a weapon against Vecna, or is he turning into Vecna's replacement? There is this terrifying possibility that by tapping into the hive mind, Will is being groomed to take over. Remember in Season 2 when he was the spy? This feels like an evolution of that. But instead of being a passive receiver, he is becoming an active conduit. The title Sorcerer is super specific too, because in Dungeons & Dragons, a wizard learns magic through study, but a sorcerer has innate magic in their bloodline. This suggests that Will's connection to the Upside Down has fundamentally changed his DNA, or his essence. He isn't just a kid with PTSD anymore, he is a supernatural entity in his own right. But can he control it? That nosebleed suggests it takes a physical toll. If he keeps using these powers, will it kill him? Or worse, will it burn away his humanity until there is nothing left but the hive mind? And speaking of powers and shocking returns, we have to talk about the lab raid. Hopper and Eleven go through all that trouble dealing with the kryptonite sound waves, sneaking past the guards and getting into the vault because they are 100% convinced that Vecna is in there. I was literally screaming at my screen when Hopper was getting strangled by that tentacle creature. But then they open the door and it is not Vecna. It is not Henry Creel. It is Kaylee. Number 8. I honestly gasped so loud I scared my cat. We haven't seen her since that divisive episode in Season 2, and frankly, a lot of people thought the writers had just abandoned that plotline, but here she is, hooked up to a machine, looking exhausted. So the question is, how on earth did the military get her? She was in Chicago with her gang, living off the grid, using her illusions to evade capture. Did she get sloppy? Did Dr. K hunt her down specifically? And more importantly, what have they been using her for? Dr. K mentioned she was looking for Eleven for a long time, but she clearly had Kaylee as a backup or a battery. If Kaylee creates illusions, were they using her to mask the facility? Or were they trying to weaponize her power to hide things from the public? This changes the entire dynamic for the final battle because Callie represents a different moral compass than Eleven. She was vengeful. She was angry. If she wakes up, is she going to be on Team Save Hawkins? Or is she going to burn it all down? And could her powers combined with Eleven's and Will's be the key to stopping Vecna? Imagine Eleven hitting him with telekinesis while Kali makes him see his worst nightmares, and Will controls his army against him. It is a power trio I didn't know I needed until right now. If you are enjoying this and want to see me lose my mind over Volume 2 when it drops on Christmas, you should totally smash that subscribe button, or leave a comment telling me which character you think is most likely to die. We need to discuss the geometry of the Upside Down, because Dustin Henderson, our favorite pearl-wearing genius, dropped a surprise about the wall. The group hits this massive organic wall in the Upside Down that they can't pass, and Dustin realizes it isn't just a random barrier. It is a circle. And the center of that circle is the Hawkins lab. This brings us back to the origin. Why is the center the lab? Is it just because that is where the first gate opened? Or is there something physically anchoring the Upside Down to that specific location? The unanswered question here is what is behind that wall in the Upside Down version of the lab? If the Right Side Up lab has Callie and Dr. K, what does the Upside Down lab have? Is that where Vecna's physical body is resting while he projects his mind? Or is that where he's keeping the kids? Dustin's theory about the wall acting like a containment zone is fascinating, but it also means that to save anyone, they have to go into the belly of the beast. And let's not forget the sheer size of this thing. If it is a perfect circle around the epicenter, it implies intelligent design. Vecna is building a fortress. What exactly is he building inside that circle? A throne room? A temple? Or is the spire's vision will saw the blueprint for what lies within? Speaking of the spires, that vision Will had is haunting me. He saw Holly attached to a spire looking like she was part of it, and he saw 3 others. He did the math and realized Vecna wants 12 kids total. 12. That is a very specific number. It has biblical implications with the 12 apostles. It has zodiac implications. It has clock implications since the grandfather clock has been such a huge motif. What happens when he gets 12? Is it a sacrifice ritual? Does he need 12 batteries to power a mega gate that swallows the world? Or is he trying to create a twisted jury or council? The fact that he is targeting kids specifically is sick, but Henry has always had a thing about the innocence of children and how society corrupts them. He might see this as saving them in his warped, psychopathic way. He told Holly he was saving her from the monsters. If he puts them in these spires, are they dead or are they transformed? Will said Holly looked like she was part of it. Are they becoming the pillars of his new world? And we know the military is grabbing kids too, thinking they are protecting them by putting them in the Maxi base, but they are just gathering them all in one place for Vecna to pluck like grapes. It is a disaster waiting to happen. The question remains, why 12 and what happens when the clock strikes 12, metaphorically speaking? Then we have Max. Sadie Sink is acting her heart out even as a voice in a void. We finally know where she is. She is in Camazotz. The reference to a wrinkle in time is not subtle, and it is terrifying. In that book, Camazotz is a planet where everyone gives up their free will to a giant evil brain called IT. Max explains that Henry's mind is Camazotz. She is trapped in his memories, in his psyche. This answers the question of whether she is dead. She isn't, but she is imprisoned in a mental landscape that is actively hostile. She has created a sanctuary in a cave because Henry is afraid of it, which is a massive clue. Why is Henry afraid of that specific cave in his own memory? Is it a memory he repressed? Is it a moment of weakness? If Max can figure out why he fears that spot, she has a weapon. But the bigger question is about escape. She mentions the 3 doors: suicide, acceptance, or escape. She is trying for door number 3. She mentions the music, Kate Bush, obviously, opening a path, but it closed. This implies the connection is fragile, with Lucas on the outside and Elle trying to reach her. Can they stabilize that door? And what about the physical toll? Her body is in a hospital bed with broken limbs. If her mind escapes, does she wake up? Or does she need Elle to jumpstart her heart again? And let's not gloss over the fact that she sent Holly back to Henry. That is a gamble. A massive, dangerous gamble. She is using Holly as a spy on the inside of the mind prison. If Henry catches on, both of them are doomed. What is the end game for Max here? Is she trying to destroy him from the inside out? Let's pivot to Dr. K for a second. Linda Hamilton is bringing such a cold, calculated energy to this role. She is not like Brenner. Brenner was a manipulator who thought of himself as a father figure. Dr. K feels like a pragmatist. She looks at a monster strangling a man and treats it like a biology experiment. She cranks the temperature down to see how it reacts. She is terrifying because she doesn't seem to have an emotional tether. Her conversation with Hopper was chilling. She calls him a thorn in her side, but the real mystery is her ultimate goal. She says she wants to stop the threat, but she is hoarding superpowered individuals. She has 8. She wanted 11. Is she trying to build her own squad to fight the Upside Down? Or does she want to control the Upside Down? The military has been trying to weaponize this stuff since Season 1. Does Dr. K think she can tame Vecna? Or does she want to use the Upside Down's resources? And what is her history? She seems to know way too much about the biology of these creatures. Was she a rival of Brenner's? Did she work in the background at Hawkins' lab before? The fact that she is willing to use kids as bait for Vecna proves she has zero moral lines. She is the human antagonist we needed. Someone who makes the military threat feel competent and scary, not just a bunch of guys with guns who get eaten. And we cannot forget the love triangle that refuses to die, although it has morphed into something more interesting. The dynamic between Steve, Nancy, and Jonathan is so heavy this season. We found out Jonathan has an engagement ring hidden in a cassette tape. A cassette tape! That is the most Jonathan Byers thing ever. But he hasn't asked her. Why? Is it just the apocalypse getting in the way, or does he sense that Nancy is drifting? Nancy and Steve have this undeniable chemistry when they are in crisis mode. The way they bicker in the van. The way Steve is constantly trying to prove himself but also failing in hilarious ways, like crashing the car into the wall. But Jonathan is the one who steps up with the tech, who grounds the team. The unanswered question is who Nancy actually wants to be with, or if she even wants to be with either of them. She is a woman on a mission with a shotgun. Maybe her endgame is leaving Hawkins and never looking back, solo. But that ring is a ticking time bomb. When will Jonathan propose? Will he do it right before a big battle, triggering a death flag? Or will Murray, who is the biggest shipper on the show, force the issue? Murray telling Jonathan to grow some balls was harsh but true. With the world ending, they can't keep dancing around it. Let's talk about the time jump and the setting. It is November 1987. That is a significant jump from season 4. The characters look older, they are tired, they are hardened. The town is under occupation. This setting raises questions about the rest of the world. If Hawkins is this locked down, what does the rest of America know? Robin's radio show suggests they are trying to keep morale up, but information is controlled. Are they completely cut off? And how has this isolation affected their psyches? We see Ted Wheeler still trying to golf and Karen drinking wine, trying to maintain normalcy, but the cracks are showing. The scene where the Demogorgon attacks the Wheeler house was brutal because it shattered that illusion of safety in the suburbs. Karen stabbing the Demogorgon with a wine bottle was iconic, by the way. But it begs the question, is anywhere safe anymore? If the monsters can breach the right side up so easily now, are the gates expanding? Is the merge that began in season 4 accelerating? The Right Side Up is the title of the final episode of the series, which implies a restoration, but right now the lines are blurrier than ever. We also have to discuss the vehicle situation. Steve Harrington driving a BMW into a dimensional rift is one of the most reckless and amazing things I have ever seen. He calls it the peanut butter bopper theory, crunchy on the outside, soft on the inside. He basically brute forced a wormhole. But how did the car survive? And now they are stuck in the upside down with a busted car. How do they get back? They are relying on Hopper and Elle to clear the path, but Hopper and Elle are dealing with their own mess at the lab. This splits the party again, which is classic Stranger Things, but it leaves the Scoops troop, plus Jonathan and Nancy, incredibly vulnerable. They are in the wild with no vehicle, limited ammo, and a wall blocking their path. And they are tracking a Demogorgon that has Derek. If they find the kids, how do they transport them? They can't exactly pile 12 kids into a broken BMW. The logistics of the rescue mission are a nightmare. And what about Mr. Clark? Our favorite science teacher got pistol whipped by Hopper. I mean, justice for Mr. Clark. He was just trying to do science, but his presence in the lab raises a question. Was he coerced? Or did he volunteer to help because he understands the physics of the gates? He has always been the explainer for the kids. If he wakes up, will he be an ally on the inside? Or is he out of commission? We need Mr. Clark to explain the spires or the geometry of the wall. He is the only one who can translate the sci-fi madness into English for us. Let's go back to the volume titles because they give us clues. Volume 2 starts with Shock Jock. That has to be about Robin, right? She is Rockin' Robin on the radio. Does the radio station become the new command center? We saw the group using it in episode 1, but maybe it becomes pivotal for a massive signal broadcast. Can they use the radio towers to amplify Elle's powers, or jam the hive mind signal? We'll mention the antenna theory. If they can boost the signal, maybe they can disrupt Vecna's control over the creatures. Or maybe Shock Jock refers to a new character. Or even Eddie Munson if you want to put on your tinfoil hat. I know, he's dead, let me dream. But it likely centers on communication and the media war. Then we have Escape from Camazotz as episode 6. That confirms a huge focus on Max and Holly trying to get out of the mind. Prison. It sounds like an action-packed heist episode, but inside a brain. And episode 7 is the bridge. Is the bridge a literal bridge between worlds? Is it the connection between L and 1? Or is it about bridging the gap between life and death for Max? There is also the mystery of the Demogorgons themselves. They seem organized. In previous seasons, they were wild animals. Now they are tactical. They're kidnapping kids, not just eating them. They are guarding perimeters. They are foot soldiers in an army. This evolution makes them infinitely more dangerous. And seeing Will control them suggests their loyalty is to the strongest psychic signal. If Will and Vecna get into a tug-of-war over the hive mind, the Demogorgons are the rope. Can Will turn the army against its master? That would be the ultimate poetic justice. Vecna loves spiders and hives. Having his own hive turn on him would be delicious. Finally, we have to talk about everyone breaking. Jonathan is stoned and paranoid. Nancy is overwhelmed with guilt about Holly. Mike is terrified of losing Elle and his friends. Lucas is grieving a living girl. Dustin is traumatized by Eddie's death and getting beaten up by bullies. This isn't the fun adventure of season 1 anymore. The unanswered question is, who makes it out intact? Not just alive, but intact. The trauma is stacking up. When Mike sees Vecna in episode 4, he falls to his knees. He looks hopeless. Mike has always been the heart, the leader, the optimist. If Mike breaks, the group breaks. Volume 2 needs to answer how they find the will to fight when the odds are this mathematically impossible. So, we are left with a board set for checkmate. Vecna has his 4 gates, he is collecting his 12 victims, he has a fortress, and he has the military unknowingly helping him by gathering targets. The heroes are scattered, injured, and outgunned. But they have wild cards. They have Will the Sorcerer. They have Kali the Illusionist. They have Elle the Powerful One. And they have Steve Harrington with a baseball bat and great hair. The unanswered questions are piling up, but the pieces are moving toward a collision that is going to destroy Hawkins once and for all. Christmas Day cannot come fast enough. I need to know what happens to the Turnbows. I need to know if Murray's karate moves come back. I need to know if Ted Wheeler ever finishes his golf game. The suspense is agony, absolute agony.